Before I get started, I just want to first welcome everyone to our premiere. We are the Warrior Women Thriving Tribe, and we are launching the podcast. I see some of our tribe members here, and welcome to the gentlemen in the room, right? Because this is about empowering women, but men play a part in that role as well. So thank you so much for being here to support. My name is Alaysha, the Warrior Queen, and I want to tell you to, first of all, if you haven't done so already, please mute the line so that you can hear just our guest speaker for tonight. And before I present Queen Charlene, I just want to go over a couple of rules here. And so take a look at the top of your screen where you see the view. You can either do your speaker view or gallery view. One or the other, so you'll be able to hear us perfectly and make sure your mute is on. Feel free to invite some more folks into the room. We are expecting a few more folks. So I'm going to try to manage this as well as far as admitting people and then introducing our queen for this evening. So without further ado, I want to introduce our queen for this evening, Charlene Green Davis. And Charlene is hailing from New Jersey in the North Plainfield area. And funny that Charlene was one of my students where I work at my college. I work for Raritan Valley Community College, and she was one of our adult students and a student worker at the time. So I have followed this young woman's journey for a few years now, and she's now a family advocate person and speaking and doing a lot of community work. She is one that I am also coaching in my coaching program, the Warriors Thriving Coaching Program. So I am proud today to present to you Queen Charlene, who has gone through, quite a journey, and we will speak about that as well. But before we do that, I just want to tell you why we're here, okay? Just really quick, because it's important to know what this movement is about. So God gave me an awakening about 6 years ago to create this idea of a global movement of empowering women around the world. And at the time, I did not know what that meant. I myself, as a survivor of domestic abuse, and I'm taking my message to the world and creating, words of wisdom from my wounds. I'm triumphing over the trauma. And so my idea was to birth this global movement of 1 million strong warrior women survivors thriving, basically around the world. And our big commitment is to create a future without violence for women and girls around the world. So I'm so proud to be able to represent this tribe. And I'm so glad that so many of you are here from the tribe that is supporting. So without further ado, I just want to thank you for showing up tonight and taking the time. We don't take that lightly. And so Queen Charlene, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in and take out your pen and paper and be able to take some notes. Most of our speakers will be giving away some bonuses. Charlene has something at the end to be able to present to you, but I also have some prizes to give out. So stay to the end because you don't want to miss out. You need to be here to win. All right, so let's jump right in, Charlene.
All right.
So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, Alaysha, for that wonderful, wonderful welcome. And I'm just ecstatic. I'm excited. I'm elated to be able to share my blessing, my experience with you. So I just wanted to tell everyone in advance, thank you. Again, my name is Charlene Green Davis, and aside from the accomplishments that Alaysha just named, one of my prize and most greatest, and I like to put an emphasis on valuable accomplishment, is being a wife and mother to my wonderful family. I am a resident of Somerset County. I'm a college graduate. I love to read and research. I enjoy traveling when I can, when I'm not working. For icebreaker, I'll give a fun fact. Let's see. One of my guilty pleasures is 90 Day Fiance. It's intriguing. Don't judge me. You got to watch it.
All right.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about why you're here today. Like, what do you hope to accomplish today by sharing your story?
Okay. I'm here today to share my story on how I manifested this life's journey, past, present, and future. I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that in light of sharing my experience, this will bring self-awareness to any or many individuals as we co-create in this physical form. And in lieu of the upcoming October month, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I wanted to focus on this topic at hand. I am a certified domestic violence advocate, and being a domestic violence survivor myself, I have conversants with the subject.
Okay. So you talked about past, you talked about transformation and future. Let's go to the past. Let's talk about, your journey a little bit. What was it like, during the trauma or
Let's
before
do
the
it.
trauma, I should
Let's
say.
do
Yeah.
it. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit before the trauma started. Maybe about 17 to 18 years ago. My adult years was very optimistic. I was always academically intelligent. I was always eager to learn and experience new things. I was very versatile, and I didn't have any barriers that I personally cling to that allow to put a barrier around me, sort of say. So when the trauma began, hindsight is 2020. So as I began to journey the process of healing self, I realized that my actual trauma began in my adolescent years, meaning that I was groomed from a young child from seeing relative relationships that certain behaviors was perceived as the norm, unacceptable behaviors such as, verbal, emotional, and physical abuse became something that as a child I saw often. So by the time I was old enough to be in a physical relationship, certain things that I knew that was ethically wrong, but in my memory keeping was normal, or should I say, I was used to seeing.
Yeah, I want to interject right there because that's a big one. A lot of the trauma starts in the childhood, and a lot of people don't realize that they're carrying trauma from when they were a child, right? And so that's really important to bring up because in this day and age, as an adult, how do you deal with the trauma in your relationships?
Absolutely. It's something that we I believe it's the ACE study, the adverse childhood effects. So with that study was just basically breaking down how the events that occur in our adolescence has a great effect on how we perceive our adult relationships and how we go about having these relationships as adults. So it's that's a whole, we can go on a whole nother hour with that ACE study, but it's
Exactly.
definitely something that I think everyone should kind of research on their own to kind of bring some awareness to that, how your adolescence definitely affects your adulthood.
Yeah, because I think what happens in adult relationships, especially us as women, we don't realize that our inner child is running us when we're in these adult relationships. And I just want to get to a place where we can, like what your topic about tonight is awareness. So I can't wait until we get delve into that a little more so we can find out how we become aware. Uh-oh, your lights went out. Gotta move. You gotta move a little bit.
Yeah, it's motion sensor.
How you become aware of this inner child that's running the adult life, right? And some people are not aware of that. They don't know. So I can't wait until we kind of dig into that a little bit deeper.
Okay.
So let's talk about again, that was your past, and when we talked about going into your relationships, because there was this inner child running your relationship, you started to see patterns, right, of going into the same kind of characteristics or attracting the same type of toxic relationship. What was that like for you in terms of your relationships?
Well, my experience during this time in particular in the past that we're dwelling on, it was very confusing. And let me elaborate on this. I was confused because I was trying to understand why this abuse was happening to me, and how, especially by a person that loved me and I loved him. So, as women, our innate attributes is that we're nurturers by nature, right? So we tend to lean towards helping and putting others' needs before our own self. So I made up an excuse in my mind, every excuse that can possibly make sense of what was happening and why this person was inflicting these behaviors on me, and knowing that person's, again, childhood effects, I kind of blamed it on that. And I had empathy for the person. I felt sorry for this individual. And I blamed his upbringing and childhood experience as an excuse on why he was this awful person at times. So I believe that I could be the one to cure this person or correct his behavior through my love.
So I want to definitely jump in here because I found that to be a pattern as well, right? You all ultimately become a savior, right? You take on these projects and you become the savior, and that's not our role as women. We need to be equally yoked, especially if we're in the Word of God. We need to be equally yoked with our partners, and therefore meaning that they need to be on the same page as us in terms of spiritual, financial, physically, mentally, emotionally. And we make excuses as women because, again, we have love for these men, and it could be vice versa, different relationships. But we're talking about women right now. So it's how do we as women move away from that? What do you think that looks like?
Well, the catalyst for me personally, the catalyst that propelled my reason for change was noticing how this relationship had affected my personality, my well-being, my relationship with others, the isolation, and most importantly, at that time, was our baby, my child, my baby that we conceived together. So I looked at that relationship failing at first as if I failed her in terms of not giving her a chance of having a two-parent household. But in retrospect, a safe, tranquil, single-parent household will always triumph over a turbulent and dangerous two-parent household.
Wow, that's definitely some nuggets right there. Yes, we definitely applaud that because I can look back for my own particular instance and to say that my peace of mind, my safety, my well-being, and not wanting my child, right, to repeat the cycle as a male child. I know you have daughters, but as a male child, I definitely did not want my son to repeat this vicious cycle. And my goal was to get out of that space. I wanted what you wanted as well. When I thought about it, I wanted to be able to, my only wish was to provide a family environment, right? Because I didn't see that growing up. So that was my only wish, just to be in that family environment. But when it becomes toxic, you're doing more harm to not just yourself, but your children as well, because you continue to going through that cycle of abuse, right? Because they never learn. Your children won't learn because they, like what you said, when you grew up as a child, and many of us have, I looked at my own childhood and I was like, at first I kept saying nothing happened. But I said, no, there was a lot of trauma, a lot of violence, a lot of abuse, verbally, physically. There was drug use and addiction, and it was so much misogyny. It was just so much going on when I recalled. And I said, oh my God, no wonder I kept attracting, quote unquote, the same guy, those same characteristics, because I did not realize I was running that pattern as to when I was a child. So the same with you here. My thing was I wanted to provide a loving environment, but the moment it started getting toxic, I realized it is better, like you said, to be in a single parent household where it's tranquil and calm and safe and peaceful, right? So I applaud you for being able to have the courage to leave that relationship, because so many of our sisters don't. And that is the one thing that why I've launched this campaign, because some of us are still in the victim mindset or in that victim state, meaning they're still in an abusive relationship. And some are on the verge of coming out and just not sure how to come out of it. And then some of us are already out, but then still stuck in what I call emotional purgatory, because they're just in limbo, right? They don't know what to do, how to heal, and how to reclaim their future and, rebuild their life. And then some of us are thriving. So we have the gamut here, this whole spectrum of women on, from the victim mindset to thrivership. And that's what the Warrior Thriving movement is all about, is to be able to take women like yourself to have courage. And I want you guys to applaud Queen Charlene. This is the first time she's speaking out about her journey. And so that's what this is all about. And that's what my coaching program is about, is to give this idea of courage, right? To speak up and speak out, own your power, own your voice, and activate that true power within. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's go into transformation, because I don't like to dwell on the past so much either, but we wanted to just kind of get a sense of where you were coming from. But let's go now to that transformation. What was that aha moment? What was, that enough is enough? Because for me, that was the phrase, enough was enough. And like, now it's time to transition out of this. So what was that like for you?
So that the transformation for me was, I reached a point of no return. After numerous exchanges of volatile episodes or physical and emotional abuse, I knew that two things were going to happen for certain. Either I was going to end up in a grave, or I was going to end up behind bars for trying to save my life. And after having this epiphany, I decided neither was a preferable choice for my life. And I needed to take hold of it right then and right now. And at that time, yeah.
Wow, I love that. Again, the choices, right? Making a decision, and neither one was a preferable choice, right? Either somebody's going to die and somebody's going to go to jail. And like for me, I grew up in Newark, in the hood, like, and at the time when I was in my relationship with my ex-husband, I gave my life to God. So it was a little different, right? So I'm like one foot in the hood and one foot into God. And I was just like, I was young. Yeah, I see you laughing at me, Yvonne. I was young, but I was like, I'm still hood, I'm still thug. And I'm like, if somebody put their hands on me again, it's not going to be good for them. Because I'm like, I'm trying to do the right thing. But again, I thought about it. Luckily, I was smart enough not to act on that and use the legal system, because if I had done it that way, my son, right, wouldn't have had either of his parents. And that's what I really thought about. The fact that I didn't want to leave my son as an orphan because, let's just say, because it didn't go right. I don't want to say what could have happened. So I applaud you for making that choice, because it is a difficult choice. And some of us stay too long where we actually have to make that choice. So good for you that you've made that choice ahead of time. So let's go to, what resources did you use to be able to, make that transformation? Because it's not easy. And this is not a journey that we do alone, right? This is something that we have to do it in support. So what resources did you use to support you in that transformation?
Right. So piggyback on what you just said, I think us growing up in urban areas, we're always taught that the police or the law enforcement or the judicial system is not on our side, but it's there for a reason. And at some point you have to utilize them. So that was a significant resource that actually helped me the most, was me getting educated on the judicial system, knowing my rights as a survivor that was being victimized at the time. My victimizer at the time knew that once I started to use that judicial system, that there were now consequences to his actions. So between that and also piggyback on something that you said, that I grew up in a spiritual home. So focusing internally and connecting with my internal spiritual source allowed me to find the courage to regain my strength and redefine myself according to what I was to become and not what I was in the past. So I had gained the knowledge and awareness of self, and realizing that my past did not and does not define my present and my future. Amen. And that allowed me to just propel into uncharted waters in this wonderful sea of life. So, and it took my village, it took my family, it took community members to pour into me and provide opportunities for me without bias that allowed me to take the necessary steps forward.
So I want to stop right there, because you mentioned something about your village, your family, and your resources. But what about when it's been going on so long and you're isolated, right? You're taking away from your family and your support. How do women in that predicament get the support and resources that they need?
Well, that's funny that you say that, because like you said, after a while, family is family. They're always going to be there to support you. But an outsider looking in doesn't understand that situation. And it could kind of push them away when they're telling you, you don't have to do this, just leave, and you won't, or you can at that time. They kind of throw their hands up too, right? So when I speak about village, I'm not just talking about immediate family members. It was someone in particular at the time that was kind of, I knew the person because they worked at the daycare that my child was going to, but this person was a stranger. I never even had a conversation with this person. And, at the right time and moment, really quick, I was getting myself together. I found a community resource at the time that if I was either job searching or going to school, that they provided the childcare for my daughter, my baby at the time. So I was dropping her off, and I come from an educational background, and the daycare director was at the time was scrambling because they were low on staff, and they're like, if you know, and I was dropping her off really quick, and I was running to school, and they're like, somebody, was looking, we need staff. And I'm like, me. And so we had a conversation, and it was history after that. I started off as a teacher assistant, then I was the lead teacher there for going on almost 4 years. That was a stranger. I didn't know this person, So I would say, even your village doesn't have to be a family member or somebody that or connected to. Sometimes you just have to be a little bit vulnerable or have a conversation, because you will find, if you're seeking, you will find, and you will find the resources that you need at that time to help you.
So speaking of resources, I want to give a resource right now, because we never know who needs this. And, for those of you who, thank God, you're not a survivor, you haven't gone through this, but you might know someone who have, or run across someone, and that's being a good bystander. You might need to be able to share information with, your sisters. So I'm going to give you a resource right now. And maybe if my colleague here, Yvonne, if you could put in the chat, it's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE, which is 7233. So that's 1-800-799-SAFE, 7233. And it's important to know these numbers. Now, that's on a national scale, because some states or local counties may not have a domestic violence center, but I would encourage you to look up your local domestic violence center, because most of the resources are free. Right. I know I've gone through Somerset. Thank you, Yvonne. I've gone through Safe and Sound in Somerset. And the second time around, so that was 20 years ago. And then, like, not too long ago in 2018, I've gone through Safe in Hunterdon. So I was twice with like 2 really bad toxic situations, right? So one, I was very young and I didn't have the people around me to really support me, and I didn't know anything about it. I was so confused about what was going on, right? And like you said, Char, if this person proclaimed to love you, but this person is putting hands on you, that's not love, and certainly even the verbal and emotional abuse, became financial abuse, spiritual abuse. It was like everything. And it was like, wow, this person said that they love me, but they didn't. You can't, that's not love. And so then the second time around, I was like, wow, I'm not even married with this person or, share a child together. Now this person wanted to kill me. And I said, that was a whole different dynamic. So that was more threats, and I believed it, right? So I literally packed up and bought a new house and moved to a whole new county, because I was like, I can't. It took 2 years to have literally the police escort me into my home. I had a 3-level townhome, escort me into my home, walk the whole house, look all over the house before I can go in every night for almost 2 years. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So it's a matter of being in connection with resources locally. And those folks really helped me. And like you said, they were strangers. It wasn't people I knew. So they were strangers, but I'm again launching this because you may know someone and you can be that bystander, right? That's the bystander. The bystander steps in and be able to offer the person resources, because sometimes that woman cannot get out of that situation safely, especially without help and without a safety plan. I know the question always come up, and I want you to speak to this, Char. Why does she stay? Right? That question always come up. Can you speak to that? Like, why women stay in these abusive situations so long?
Yes, I definitely can. So research shows that it can take approximately 7 attempts before a survivor permanently leaves a partner. And this can be for various reasons. This can be for immigration status. They may not be a legal citizen. This can be for income status. The survivor is in debt to the victimizer. It can be, you know, a husband that is the breadwinner and the wife just doesn't have the monetary capacity to get up and leave and take care of her children. It can have so many various reasons on why that survivor needs many more resources or many more attempts to leave. So I know a lot of people get into that mindset like, oh, you should just leave. But it's truly not that easy. Leaving is a process and it needs to be intricate. So you need those resources where the process can be executed safely.
Yeah, and that's the key word, safely, right? Because
Right.
the moment that the victim is trying to leave is the worst for her in terms of her safety, because that is when, you know, you can agitate the abuser and that person literally will try to kill her and then perhaps themselves, because we've heard of a lot of suicide than homicide than suicide cases. So
Yes,
thank you for sharing that. And you know, it's I know
absolutely.
for me, I wanted to address two concerns. Like you said, there are several reasons why women stay in these abusive situations. For me, I wanted to address two of them. It's the emotional wealth and the financial wealth,
Okay.
right? So I should
Okay.
say emotional health and financial wealth. So those are the two areas that I'm addressing in my Warriors Thriving coaching program, because the emotional is that mindset, right? And a lot of that is coming from that inner child of what they believe or who they believe they are. And it talks about identity. So again, back to your awareness of who you are truly, right? You're not that person that, you know, you grew up believing that you are. There's someone else that you need to become, as you stated. The second part is the financial resources or lack thereof, right? So like for me, my ex-husband made 4 times as much as I did. You know, he was making really good money when we were young. So we had that life. However, for me, I was like, I don't care how much money this man makes, it still does not justify someone putting their hands on me. So at the end of the day, it was my safety, it was my peace of mind, it was my child's safety that I was to remove myself from that situation. So those are the two areas, because that's what I'm hearing the most. The emotional health and the financial wealth is those two areas what keeps people in their victim state. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's move ahead to present day. So what are, you know, when did you break, I should say, when did you break your silence and why did you decide to do that?
Okay. Well, my life has always been an open book. I was never quiet or reluctant to talk about my experiences because I knew that God didn't allow that experience to happen for me to not transform it into a learning experience and a teachable moment, right? So my model, this is just my personal model, is that everything happens for a reason. So it's up to us to dig deep and figure out how can we assist others or use our trials and tribulations to assist others. Because I totally believe it is our service to do so. And you know, getting that courage, that knowledge and strength to speak out was the awareness, knowing who I am. What am I called to be? Who am I able to advocate for? How can I be the best individual for myself and then others? And not being selfish, but having self-awareness. See, I had to become aware, and having or coming into awareness gave me the realization that in order to help others to the best of our ability, we need to put our own oxygen mask on first before we can attempt to help someone put theirs on. And this is an analogy familiar, you know, with anyone that has taken an air flight. This is the basic life saving precaution that the stewardess instructs you to do. And think about it, it would be just insane for you to try to help someone that is in first class and you're in coach or vice versa, because your airline, or should I rather say your oxygen line, will simply just not reach. So some people, you can try to help them all you want, but self-awareness is that you're not hurting yourself by trying to help someone else. I was listening to Steve Harvey last week, and he made a very good point in a wonderful statement. He said, storms will come into our lives, and everyone will experience a storm at one point in their lifetime. Some storms come in like hurricanes with warnings. Others come like a tornado out of nowhere. But the thing about storms is when you're out of it, and you will come out of it because that's just the nature of things. You survived every storm so far, right? If you do not dwell in it and you allow the storm to leave something behind, because in every storm, there's a lesson and a blessing. And you will be changed when you get to the other side of the storm. But you have to be open and willing for the change and to change.
I love that. There's a lesson and a blessing, and it is because of awareness. And I'm just going to share like my journey really quick, because it took me 15 years in that emotional mindset that I was in, right? That purgatory, if you will. And it wasn't until 6 years ago in 2016 when I had that awareness, that spiritual awakening, to know that I was just in this I don't even know what to say. I don't know what I was in, but I just was not who I was meant to be. And all of a sudden, God said, I have, called you for a higher purpose in me. And, you have a divine purpose, you have a destiny. And this calling was exactly what I'm birthing today. And again, 6 years ago, I knew that I still needed to go on my, my healing journey, right? And I didn't do it earlier on because I was just too ashamed. I had guilt, I had the pain, the blame, I had everything, the hate. And because I was just like blaming myself a lot too, like how could I have let this happen? And all of these things. And then when I found it, God finally got me still long enough to say, I got work for you to do. And I had to come out of all of that, the stupor, that's what I like to call it, because I was just stuck. And that's where a lot of women are right now. And that's why he's called me to do this work, to come forth and to be the igniter of this change, right? To bring women to their power, their purpose, and their destiny, and let them see like what their calling is, and they have greatness inside of them. So like yourself, I have a small part to play in your journey, and I thank God for that he allowed me to have you in my circle of influence where I could role model excellence. So again, I thank you for that. And that lesson and blessing only comes from being able to receive from God and being able to understand that there needs to be an awareness of what is happening, right? And something you said earlier on, your past does not define you, right? That past trauma does not define you. And in my program, I really work through that so that we can let go of the past, because that's the key word, being able to let it go and move past the trauma. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yvonne is on point. So moving past that trauma, and I love what you're saying. You can get the lesson and you can get a blessing, or you could stay with the messing. And I'm just trying to rhyme, but
there you go. I like that.
Corny a little bit, but you can stay in the mess, or you can be blessed. Like seriously. And it only takes the decision, right? Because you need to decide enough is enough. Like at what point do you realize you're in a toxic relationship and you don't deserve that? You don't have to stay in the toxic relationship, especially, any of them. It doesn't matter which one. They're all bad. So I don't want to say especially physically, because they're all bad. And in fact, emotional is worse because it lingers longer. You can heal from the physical abuse, right? Those heal a little quicker, But that emotional abuse, that stays with you for a long time until you decide to, again, making a decision to say enough is enough, not me anymore. So I like to say what you said about the oxygen mask, put your oxygen mask on first, because, and I also say, fill your cup up first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Your blessings have to be overflowing in order for you to spill over into somebody else's life. If you're pouring from an empty cup, you're not giving of anything except nothing at all, right? So I love what you're saying here. You can have a blessed life if you choose to. And I tell women, choose you today. And if you want to choose you, if you want to overcome the trauma, then join us in our tribe, this 1 million strong warrior women survivors thriving, because that's what it's all about. My coaching program that I'm going to leash on reveal in October is going to talk all about that. And we're going to be able to have women standing up in their power, activating their voice, and collectively creating this promise of a future without violence for women and girls around the world. I get so excited when I get to talk about that, because that is something that God birthed in my spirit. And I'm serving as midwife to help you all birth what God is calling you to do in your spirit. So I don't want to start because I get to preaching over here, but we're gonna keep going in essence of time, because I want to give our audience a chance to really open up and ask you some questions. So let's talk about your compelling future really quick. Like, what does it look like? What are you creating? Because we did have an opportunity to have a coaching session, and we created something there. So let's share what you're birthing in your spirit.
Well, my baby she's in utero. She hasn't come to full birth yet, but she's on her way. One of my missions is to teach and promote self-awareness. So self-awareness of who you are is to become aware of who you were meant to be. And I like to use the analogy of awareness being like a photography camera. If you can picture one of those Nikon cameras with the lens and it's able to retract, when you pull back the cover from the lens, AKA eyes, you're able to see. And then you start to learn how to take the focus feature off your camera, AKA your mind, to widen the view, AKA life experiences, and see a whole new different picture, AKA life's opportunity. So that is in the utero right now, and I am getting all my resources together. That way, my mission and my vision, if I can have it my way, is of course for women and young women, because I'm a woman and I can relate, but it's not limited to women. It's men that suffer abuse as well, and young men. And I would just like to get this message out there to them, and present to them, do online workshops with them, in-person workshops with them. So I'm definitely in the making of doing that right now.
All right. I am, again, so proud of you, because we are going to birth this baby together. I serve as your midwife and going to help you launch your big dream. And, it's not just for her. This is anyone else that's on here that has, something in your spirit that you're meant to do. You're meant to give something greater to this world. DM me. You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me in Instagram, Warriors Thriving, across all of my handles, and DM me. Let me know how we can help you. I offer a free breakthrough coaching call. I will actually put that in the chat so that if anybody needs that, it's free. Charlene could tell you, like, that's how we came.
Yes.
What she is doing, today, and what she's going to be birthing. So, Charlene, I just want to ask you one more question before we open up to the audience.
Okay.
So, why do you think we need to create this Warriors Thriving global movement? So, why do you think something like that is necessary?
Let me see. Well, first of all, I think it's needed and it's necessary. Because we as women and we as survivors, we need that outlet. We need this community, we need this village. we need our stories are somewhat similar in various different ways. And again, this topic is not, it's not biased. It's comes in every culture. It hits male, female, old, young. So it's definitely needed, and it's time that it's the talk about it is not taboo. It's time that is put out on the table, because once something is brought forth and talked about, that's when the focus becomes upon it, and that's when we can start to manifest the change in it.
Amen. Amen. And I know that like the silence is what begets the violence. Like it continues because we're silent. So again, as we're breaking our silence, like when we started with the hashtag Me Too movement, that opened up a lot of eyes around sexual assault. And so now I think, you know, where it's no longer quote unquote taboo, where we can start having these conversations, and more importantly, we can start speaking our truth, right? We don't have to feel shame to be able to speak our truth, because again, what happened to us in the past does not define who we are now, and certainly doesn't create our future. So you can create your destiny and your future by whatever you decide that you want to manifest in your life, right? You co-create with God. And then you get the support that you need. So our tribe is the Warrior Women's Thriving After Abuse Tribe, because we focus on that sisterhood, supporting one another. It is some brilliant women in our tribe already. And again, if you want to join the tribe, I will put that in the chat in a moment. But please join our tribe. The tribe is for women right now, but for men, we'll have an opportunity for you guys to join the 1 million strong global movement, because again, that's not just about women, that's about empowerment for women, but supported by men as well, right? So last thing, let's see, well, we talked about it already. So
Alaysha, and I just wanted to say really quick, thank you for taking the initiative to lead one of the most profound and courageous. This is a non-selfish act that you're doing, and we need more royal women like you to stand out and stand up and be a voice. So
yes.
I want to, all hands and congratulations go to you for
Thank
being
you.
brave and doing this.
Well, that's, you know, like I said, God stopped me in my tracks in 2016, and I said yes to his will and way. And I just want to share this really quick, because some people probably haven't heard this part of it. And I always do like this, like around my head, like a carousel, because God showed me the women from around the world that was battered, bruised, and broken. And I was seeing all these different women. I could see them crying. I could see that they was from different cultures and different places around the world. And I just literally wanted to reach over into the other realm and grab them all and save them all. And tears were streaming. I was stuck. Like I felt the power of God. And it was August 4th of 2016. And I finally said yes, because I was running for 15 years. I didn't want to talk about this stuff at all, because I was still ashamed of just what I had gone through. And then when God called me, I knew that I was going to have to activate my voice and own my power. And when I said yes, and, you know, I still was struggling for a while. You know, it took my healing journey over the last 6 years to be able to get to a point that I can speak out about this and turn my wounds into words of wisdom or triumph over my trauma, right? And so I'm just taking a courageous step. You know, I think about Dr. King's quote of faith is not seeing a whole staircase, but taking a step anyway. And that's also a part of scripture. I just take the step. God said, take the next step. I don't see the whole staircase. And when I stop worrying about seeing a whole staircase, because most of us as women, we're perfectionists, right? We want everything to be ready and done. And no, it causes a lot of anxiety. Like for me, it causes a lot of anxiety because I'm always worrying about how things are done or look or appear. No, I stopped doing that. I just let all of that go. And then I just said, you know what? I'm just putting it out there. I don't know what the 1 million warriors, women thriving is going to look like. I don't know, but all I know is God said, move, and I'm moving. And so there you have it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just being obedient. So we're going to go ahead and transition to open up to questions. So I'm going to ask that you raise your virtual hand if you want to ask a question. So William, you have a question?
Well, good evening. Good evening, Asia.
Good evening.
And all the rest of the ladies. I really didn't have a question. I've been sitting here silent and just listening, and was eating, which is why I blocked off my screen. But I really just want to say to all of you women, all of you beautiful, powerful women, regardless of ethnicity, women are the greatest creation God gifted man with, period, point blank. And it's a shame that a lot of men don't see it that way. My only comment is this: ladies, there are more men like myself that stand with you in regards to not just domestic violence, but sexual assault. I think, I want to make sure I'm say things nice again. That for us personally, it strikes close to home. So things like domestic violence, I can say it. I had my ex-wife. She was a hitter. She was a hitter, a yeller, and call the cops. I'd get in trouble. We're not going to go into that story tonight. But it's physical, it's psychological, it's verbal, and it's emotional. But also the aspect of sexual assault. Again, doesn't just happen to women. Okay, there's plenty enough young male children that can speak to it, and probably most don't because of the whole shame about being a male and manlyhood and all of that. Well, I'm a victim of that. So again, I say there's more of us that stand with you to make this whole movement and bring everything out to Me Too, and whether it's female or male, trust me, we're with you. That's one of the reasons why I anxiously accepted my invitation to come and sit and join and listen in with you ladies this evening. And that being said, I won't keep up any more of your time because I know this is basically a female platform. I'm just going to bow out and stay in my lane.
William, I
Thank you,
just want to
William.
say thank you so much for sharing your truth, sharing your story. And, you know, it's powerful that men can speak out and speak up about the trauma that they've been through. So I appreciate you for coming on and sharing it and being transparent and vulnerable around that, because that's how we heal, though. And again, this platform that I'm creating is for women for now, but God has already said it's going to expand and it's going to have men who are also survivors. So I thank you for standing in solidarity with us, right? And being a part of this global movement. So welcome to the tribe. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you, William.
Thank you very much. No problem. Have a good night, lady.
You too.
Good night. All right, raise your virtual hand if you would like to ask a question or make a statement. Hey, there's my friend Alaysha, Dr. Alaysha. How are you? I know you got something to say, Doc. Come on, Doc. Come on, Doc. I know, come on, Doc. You got something to say.
I just came in to support you. Obviously, I've been in meetings all day and all night up since 4 o'clock, but I wasn't going to miss it. This is obviously powerful, necessary. I'm a girl dad. So certainly I understand and identify, you know, I'm also an adoptive dad of girls who've been in and out of the system. So clearly it is necessary. These are conversations that aren't going on. And usually when they're going on, they're not going on in our community. So
That's
I'm
right.
honored that you're having the conversation, this courageous conversation, in this courageous space. And I think it's important. And like my brother, we're simply here to support so that there are sisters who understand that there are men who clearly understand and identify. I have a cousin who's been trying to survive for the last 22 years, and he's a man. I grew up with him. We lived in the house together for 15 years. I understand because I deal in this world as a retired police sergeant, but he's still there, and it's where he is. And so I see it from both sides of the coin. But I work very hard to protect my daughters because, you know, the signs are all there. Most recently, I've got a godchild who I've been raising who went on a date with a guy that she thought was a good guy. And all the things that you talked about, he tried. And, you know, she has not come forward to tell me, but fortunately enough, we put a village around her where there were strong women that she trusted to share that information, and so that we could still put things in place, or her tribe, as you call it, to protect her and to make sure that she's okay. And so these are the things that are necessary. And I think certainly for our younger children, they don't have any clue what's out there, and they're itching to get out there. So
Yes.
we want to talk about it. We want to share the information. We want to push them in this direction so that they can, especially for the younger sisters, they have older sisters who, like yourselves, who they can talk to and hear from, so they don't have to have the same lived experience, but can learn from the journeys that you've been on.
Amen. Thank you so
you.
much, Doc. That's
Amen.
my friend right there. And I appreciate again the men that standing in solidarity with us, because it's so important to have men to be a part of this conversation. So ladies, come on. Where my ladies at? I
think Jessica has her hand raised. Or
okay.
is that by mistake?
I don't see it.
Oh, no, it's down. It's down now. Okay.
All right, who's up next? Who has a question or just want to share? Come on, Yvonne. I'm about calling y'all out now. Come on, Yvonne.
So with Charlene, with you actually being an advocate, have you ever been afraid to speak out or found yourself in a situation where you didn't know exactly what to say to someone in an abusive relationship?
I never necessarily am afraid to say things, but because I'm an open book, God gave me the gift of being able to speak and being a public speaker, but I am very selective and careful of the information that I give, and I try to go along the lines of try to stay away from putting too much of my personal opinion and more of what education and training that I have established. So I'm just very careful of the information that I convey, just to make sure, because what worked for me in my situation may not work for the next person. So I'm very, that's very important to try to separate that kind of professional from personal, even though you want to say things. So I think this is just a matter of being careful in choosing the right words in your language when you are when I am advocating. And it's some things and it depends on who I'm advocating to. If I have that relationship with that person, if we build that rapport and I can get a little bit deeper with them, then I will. It's just to knowing the relationship you have with who you're advocating for. So that's a process too.
So you think it's a process, but if I were to come to you today and say, you know what, I'm not sure if I'm in an abusive relationship, would you ask me certain questions?
Absolutely.
The options? Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to put my my link in my community involvement link in there for that reason. If you know someone that is in a situation or maybe in a situation that doesn't know, or like on a borderline or skeptical, or doesn't have anyone that they can kind of ask these questions, then definitely, absolutely, that's what I'm here for.
Did you want us to put that in the chat?
I'm putting it in right now for
Okay.
you. Thank you for that question. That was an excellent question.
Yes, thank you, Yvonne. So while she's putting that in the chat, I also bring your attention back to the chat. I just put in our free breakthrough coaching call. So that's with me as your coach and helping you get some clarity on, your divine purpose and the action steps that you can take to start creating, your compelling future. And then the second one is for the ladies only at this time, is to join our Warrior Women Thriving Tribe. And that link is there as well. So I invite you to join us in the tribe. Again, it's a village, it's a sisterhood, it's a support network, and we are going to 1 million strong, warrior women thriving. And, it's a big goal, but it can be done, right? If we're doing it collectively and owning our power collectively, again, to create that future without violence for women and girls around the world. So it is a global movement. I am literally working with women from around the world, and it's amazing. It really is, to be able to do this work. And it is a labor of love. So I thank you all for acknowledging me for that. But it's just something that God has called me to do. And now I said, okay, how can I use my gifts and talents to really bring this forward? So that's what it's all about. And like my brother said, bringing the courageous conversations to the table, because it's about courage. All right. Any other questions? Oh, Jessica has a question. Unmute yourself, Jessica.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
good evening.
Jessica.
Hi, Charlene. First I will say thank you so much for sharing your story. It's always important to, like you said, bring the awareness to other, women and men about this situation. I think my question, now that you mentioned, you know, having the interest to share your, not only your experience, but maybe trainings,
Mhm.
maybe together with your coach, you know, have this, offer this to other communities also as a training. If my question is, are you willing to do that? And by the way, I work for community coordinated childcare, and we're part of the Union County Council for Young Children. And what we do there is try to, part of that is bringing the awareness to, families, women, men, individuals, to get to know or and to get more information. And I think this is a great topic for many women and men who maybe are struggling to be free and don't know how to their way out. And I think it's important to um, dedicate, like, maybe in one night of the month to invite um, men and women, and share, I guess, some type of support group, maybe, or like just type of training. So if you are willing to do that, maybe we can talk about it. I know Charlene because she's part of the county council, but I think it will be nice to have, I don't know, I'm sorry, your name is Alaysha?
Alaysha.
Alaysha, I apologize.
No
Alaysha, it
worries.
will be nice to have both of you, um, to have you as like a panelist, and to talk to other men and women in our group. Because like you mentioned, Alaysha, this has to be global.
Yes.
Everybody should know. I am thinking it should be on in every school district too, because we need to teach young men, and women, and girls, and boys, that the way to have a partner, I guess the proper way of having a healthy relationship.
Absolutely. And
Definitely.
the program that I'm building, Jessica, just so you know, is my signature program. And it is around, the core is about healthy relationships. And the way I tie it in, I have 5 relationship dimensions that we start off with. And that's, the first one is with yourself, right? What relationship do you have with yourself? That's the personal relationship. And then you're going to have the relationship with God, or spiritual being, higher power, however you want to say it. Then your family and friends, what relationship do you have there? And then the community or professional business, that type of thing. And then ultimately the intimate partner relationships. Again, I did a survey when I do the breakthrough coaching call, and I do a survey. It's a self-assessment for the women. And when they look at these areas, I ask them just to rate from a scale to 1 to 10, or where they are in these different core relationship dimensions. And I could tell you that it's necessary to do exactly what you're saying, because the intimate partner relationship, those scores are very low, like 0, 1, 2, like it's a very low. So there is certainly a need there. But then even in the other areas, especially when I look at self, that personal, that's the awareness that Charlene is talking about, that is low too. And so there is definitely a need. I know, again, this survey was just an assessment for women for right now. We haven't opened up, assessment for men yet, but we will. And our emails, both Charlene and I's email are in the chat. You can also put your email in the chat and we can reach out to you, because we do want to do more collaborations with different communities and be able to speak again in a global sense. So this movement is global. And where are you hailing from, Jessica, by the way? Where are you from? She there? Jessica?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Where are you
Well,
from?
I work in Union County.
Oh, okay. You're here in Jersey.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So it's easy for us to connect because we're both in New Jersey as well. So if you don't mind, you can put your email in the chat to us as well. And both of our emails are there. So
And I
Charlene,
have her contact information as well.
you have it? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, so we're definitely gonna schedule a meeting with Jessica, and also her colleague Kim is there as well. We
Okay,
can involve Kim too, and we
awesome.
can set that up. Yep.
All right, awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
so
we're
much.
here to support Charlene.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, awesome. This is Charlene's posse. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So Charlene, okay, let's connect on that. All
Yes,
right.
definitely.
So follow up with Jessica and Kim. Anybody else have any questions? Again, I want to be mindful of folks' time, but I do, if you have to go, by all means, you can go. Let me just go ahead and give a quick shout out for the next Warrior Women Thriving Live. Is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll have Coach Janice Recolan, and she is coming from Hawaii, and she will be talking about just, that spiritual energy and what happened to you from your past. So Charlene alluded to it today, but Coach Janice will actually be going more into it and how you can tap into that inner child and really look at that spiritual energy. So that I did a session with her and it's amazing. So you guys definitely don't want to miss that.
Looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a good session. So again, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So any other questions as we're about to wrap up here?
If not, I would like to leave our wonderful premiere with this.
Before you, I thought I saw Melba's hand or either Ken's hand. It was like in between. I saw a hand for Ken or either Melba. It was between the two names there.
Okay, well, if here's the time, Kim and Melba, if anybody want to ask a question, here's your opportunity.
Going once, going twice. I see Melba's chat and she said
it's not so much a question. It's just I'm just so happy right now to be able to be here listening to Charlene's story. I can't. I just send you so much hugs and love, and I'm honored to have heard your story tonight, Charlene.
Thank you so much.
This was so courageous and I applaud you. I know that you're going to go out there and be that source of light for everyone, and that you're going to be doing God's work, because I know that you are a God-fearing woman and that's what you're going to do. That is exactly what you're going to do, and save so many people and be courageous. And I'm just very proud of you. I know you're proud of yourself. We are all proud of you here in the Union County Council for Young Children. I'm here, anything that you need. And I'm just very, very impressed. You're a very strong woman.
Thank you so much, Melba. I love you. Thank you.
I guess
I love
since
you guys.
I guess since my other team members have spoken, I guess I shouldn't sit here and not say anything. But Charlene, I would just like to say I'm so proud of you. You've been with us with the county council now since 2014 or 15. And I see a lot of me in you and a lot of you in me. And I've always said that. So I would just like to say, just keep on doing what you're doing. Being transparent, I'm learning each and every day. That's the way to go. People don't want no fake people out here. So being transparent, holding your head up high, and keep it moving because the sky is the limit
Amen.
for you. So I'm just so proud of you, and I'm proud that you're part of the county council because you, Melba, you all set the pavement on the design for the council and the way to go. So, just keep going. And I would just like to thank everyone else who's on tonight for supporting our parent leader.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, and for just joining in and just if I had one request or wish, it would be just to get this word out and get this movement going and share as much as you can. We're on social media, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Share it. We need to touch as many lives as possible. We need to save as many lives as possible.
And I think that's the key word, is to save a life, right?
Mhm.
And you never know when our stories will touch and heal and deliver someone. And for them to see in you, Charlene, for instance, because you're our guest tonight, that, like Ms. Kim said, she see you in her, right? So someone else can see you, see themselves in you, and meaning that they're in a place where they don't know how to get out of yet. And when we share our stories, we literally can save lives and help people to see clearly, right, a way out, that there's hope, that there's possibility. And that's what these courageous conversations are all about, because it does take courage to do it. So once again, my sister, I applaud you for, standing with me in solidarity of this movement. You was one of the first ones who jumped out and said, when I spoke about it a few years ago, you said, I'm in. When you launch it, I'm all in. And I appreciate that, because I don't take that lightly, right? Because this is a vision that's coming straight from me, and it's straight from God to me, or through me, I should say. And so everything is being paved as we go, where it's being created. And so that's the beauty and the magic of co-creating with God, and really believing in yourself and knowing that you use your gifts. So I just thank you, my sister, for using your gifts to share, the work that you've been doing. She's always been doing something in the community, and this is going to be something that you're birthing. And again, I'm just happy and honored to be a part of your growth, your expansion, and the things that you're going to create in this world to make a huge difference as our 1 million strong. So thank you for being in the tribe, and thank you for, representing the way that you have tonight on our premiere. I can't think of a better way to kick this podcast talk show series off. So again, guys, this is just episode number 1. There we got more to go. Thank you. So everyone who showed up and everyone who stayed, it's just amazing to be able to do this work and really help people to, expand, learn, grow, heal, be delivered, all of that. So God bless each and every one of you. We hope to see
everyone.
We will send out the links for where you can, again, join the tribe. Ladies, you can join the tribe. You'll see the episodes in the tribe. So go ahead and copy the chat, open those links before we close out. And then again, if you want a free breakthrough coaching call just to get some clarity on where you are and what your purpose might be, that's also in the link. And if you want to share, again, our men that's here, if you want to share with women, please share those. That's open. That's something that I'm doing. It's free, and it's part of my service to the community. As we grow, I don't know how many more of those I'll be able to do because we are expanding rather quickly. I just might, we already have 19 speakers lined up even for this podcast series. So it's just amazing. It's a blessing in and of itself. And I'm already on season 2, right? This is season 1, And so for October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I just want to let you guys know, I always kick it off during this time because it's also my birthday month. So I'm a Libra, October 13th, and it's just a very special month for me because this is when I got to, really speak my truth and, be vulnerable and be transparent. So thank you all so much. I don't want to belabor it or keep you on because I can talk.
Alaysha, before everybody leaves, I chose this background. I want to
Okay.
leave you guys with this quote, if you can see it.
Okay, yeah, you gotta
Alright.
move out, you gotta move over some so we could see it. Move
Alright.
out.
Happiness is not in the mere possession of money. It lies in the joy of achievement and in the thrill of creative effort. On that note, thank you, everyone. We love you. Thank you for being so supportive. Please come back, share, come back next week.
Yes,
Tell our tribe to come and join us next week.
yes, thank you so much, guys. Have a blessed
Have a
night.
great night.
We love you too. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone.
Good night. Thank you. All right.